Hello and welcome to day 2 of the Syndicate Competitive League Weekend 3. I am your studio host, Ari Danica, here in the studio along with Bacchanalian and Brent. How are you fellas doing today?
Oh, I'm doing just peachy. How about yourself?
I am doing well.
I'm
I'm doing
doing pretty well this morning as well, but didn't get enough sleep last night.
Oh, well, we're going to wake you up with some fantastic spaceships. I'd like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in for today's SCL 3, brought to you by SomerBlink, along with our other sponsors, CCP Games and Lorcan DeSalle. They are the ones footing the bill for our great prizes for our teams, which include 30 billion ISK as well as 30 plexes. So congratulations to them. We also, of course, have prizes for you. We will be doing trivia throughout the tournament, which will feature different questions, and you will send them in to our lovely chat room host, Miss Loot Gods. And she is in the SCL chat. Those prizes are sponsored by SomerBlink, so a big thank you to them. And we also have some wonderful guests in our studio. So a big welcome to CCP Fozzie and Shadu. Hello, fellas.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing well. So, of course, CCP Fozzie, game designer on Team 50, and Shadu, the team captain for PLB Lose. So, where to begin with this wonderful set of people I have in the studio? Should we talk about yesterday first? So, Shadu, it was your first tournament within the SCL, but you are no stranger to tournaments. In fact, you've been a commentator on Alliance tournament. You are a commentator at the FanFest tournament, and you've been in tournament teams for quite a while. You had your first SCL team, Pandemic Beluse, and you paid 20 bill for your spot and ended up getting knocked out in the first round. Is well spent?
Well, ISK was certainly well since 20 billion is like a pocket change anyway, so that much doesn't matter. It's the sore bum this morning when I woke up that was a slight bit of annoying, but sure, you man up and you move on.
Well, I just asked because, of course, I watched the matches from FanFest, and as a commentator, like you are just dead on, and I saw you interacting with the Pandemic Legion team, Logi pilot. You kind of laid into him a little bit. So now that you're on the other side, how do you feel? Do you would you still lay into a pilot making mistakes like that, or are you kind of a little more forgiving now?
Oh, absolutely. You have to lay into people. It's the only way they'll ever learn. I guess one of the things and one of the main reasons why I kind of chose to participate in the SCL 3 this time around was back in my day when we did the tournaments, the whole banning and the kind of three best out of three metagame wasn't something that we ever used. And with the FanFest tournament, the guys were saying, well, we couldn't really switch our setups or do anything because the 15-minute timeline after the bans is just too small to do anything. And I didn't quite believe them. So I decided to try it for myself. And I have to say, that seat at the captain seat on a tournament in Eve where you have to do bans and you have to change your setups and your layouts and all the rest afterwards, that is the hottest seat I've ever sat on.
So, what do you think about the new meta?
I think it's great. It's brilliant. I don't know how well it's. I don't think it comes across yet, anyway. Well, on the kind of to the viewers as themselves. It's anybody who's been involved in the tournaments have a completely new perspective to this whole banning and everything that goes after those bans are done. That's when the frantic and arm waving and the sweating start. Yesterday, I was ready to kick ban Black Horizon, one of our main theory crafters off our Mumbo server, because he came in and talked just nicely. He talked, but it's something else. And I think we need to somehow capture that and show that to the viewers as well, so they understand how much frantic stuff goes on after those bans are released.
Yeah, and I think that came across well at the FanFest server because you kind of saw the teams talking amongst themselves. And yesterday, talking to Elise, he's whispering and he's saying, I didn't allow anyone to talk to each other, and we're typing because there is that thing about information, getting over to the other team. But you were also able to kind of see that on the camera. Now, CCP Fozzie, you were involved with the tournaments for FanFest, right?
Yep, during the actual tournaments themselves, I wasn't able to be there, unfortunately, for most of it. I had roundtables and presentations most of the day, but I did a lot of the setup and preparation beforehand to get everything ready for it. And I'm really happy with how well they turned out, especially the Dust and Eve one, which was a big experiment because we'd never done anything even remotely like that before.
Now, the Dust and Eve tournament, can you just explain that to the viewers in case they weren't able to catch the feed, which is available on YouTube? Loxy put it up there, so you have no excuse.
Still on Twitch as well.
Yep, yeah, the Dust Eve tournament, it was our first ever combined Eve Universe tournament. The way it worked was there was a 16v16 Dust match going on the ground with a skirmish where you have to capture the points, and the winner of that Dust match won the actual game. What the Eve players were doing is you had 5 Eve players on each team as well. They were up in space, able to reship and come back in assault frigates and destroyers as much as they want, and they're trying to capture what is essentially a factional warfare beacon. One of those capture points that if you're the only team in range of it, you'll start to capture it slowly. And once they got a capture on it, they got a free orbital bombardment and got to go blast the other team. So it made for a really good dynamic.
Well, that's great to hear. How did the Dust players respond to it? Because we spoke a little bit to Elise, who kind of explained that PL had a team and they really couldn't figure out the orbital bombardment mechanic. And when they did, they ended up killing more of their own dudes than than the enemy team. But how did the Dust players fare when it came to the tournament?
The teams that did the best were the ones that had the most experienced Dust players. I think the one that ended up winning was a group that mostly consisted of our CPM, Council of Planetary Management, the CSM equivalent for Dust. It's one of those things that I think if we had more of those tournaments, you'd see the teams that can bring together the best Eve players and the best Dust players coming to the fore and like rising to the top. But in the meantime, the really important thing for that tournament is having Dust players that know what they're doing, and then the Eve players are something that just adds to that on top.
So maybe there needs to be some type of Dust competitive league to do the same thing that the SCL is kind of doing, have the matches broadcasted on Twitch and kind of put that player tournament behind it.
Yeah, we definitely love to do that someday. It's something that we're building up towards getting more support for that kind of streaming in Eve and also in Dust, and we're really looking forward to what people are going to be able to do with Dust streaming in the future.
Well, excellent. Going back to Syndicate Competitive League, I do have the bands in for the first match of the semifinals. For Warlords of the Deep, they have banned the Maulus and the Carries. For the Reputation Cartel, they have banned the Crucifier and the Sentinel. So, gentlemen, and we'll start with Bacchanalian and Brent on this, but what do we think of those bans?
Obviously, people do not want to see E-War frigs. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. It makes me curious with the double tracking disruptor bans from Rep Cartel, if maybe they're playing a little bit of a metagame. They have some missile setups that we've seen before, and it would not shock me terribly to see them show up with one of them after banning 2 TD, ships there to kind of throw off the Warlords team.
Yeah, and we're also seeing Maulus and carries from Warlords, which makes me think that they're maybe thinking about bringing a range setup or a kite setup. But again, that could be completely just mind games. As far as the Rep Cartels bans, Crucifier, Sentinel, I'm thinking we might see their Mac setup again from yesterday, double Mac Tempest Fleet issue. If not, I would expect to see Ham Legions.
And what about you, Fozzie? I mean, of course,
I can
Theory
see what they're
Crafter
flying, so
Extraordinaire.
that's kind of cheating. Yeah, but I can say I'm pretty interested to see how this match turns out. It's going to be a very I can't tell who's going to win from looking at these setups. It's going to be a close match, I think.
Now, Warlords of the Deep is run by the team Captain Duncan Tanner, the Reputation Cartel run by Bob Shaftos. these two gentlemen are no strangers to tournament teams, and they kind of have their own styles. Now, thinking back to what they normally bring, how do you think this match is going to fare out?
I think that overall, Warlords probably has the better individual pilots, and obviously with Duncan Tanner and Hard SP running the show, they're very prepared as far as contingency plans and how to take care of different setups. That said, I think that Warlords can, or Rep Cartel can surprise them.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Rep Cartel are definitely underdogs here, but they certainly are capable of coming out with a win here. It's just going to come down to piloting. It's going to come down to setups and who reacts best to what's on the field.
Yeah, it's really hard to bet against a Warlords or Hydra team. The combination of Duncan Tanner and Hard SP, they've done remarkably well in just about every tournament they've competed in. Hearts won the last two FanFest tournaments. They've won one of the two SCLs, and they came in second in one Alliance tournament, and then came in first and second in another one.
Yeah, well, and it's worth noting that the one that's SCL that they did win was the only one that they've been in so far. They stayed out of SCL too, so it'll be exciting to see if they can pull this one off. And
it'll be exciting also to see if they go up against the guys that won the second SCL, because the first SCL was the Warlords guys, and then they didn't compete in the second. The second SCL win was the PLA team, and they didn't compete in the first, and they're both in opposite sides of the brackets right now.
Yep, I think it'd be great to see them both go through, but only time will tell.
Now, it would be remiss of me, having a wonderful CCP developer here, to not ask some questions about Odyssey. Now, CCP Fozzie, you are part of Team 50, correct?
That is correct.
And what is Team 50 working on when it comes to the Odyssey expansion, the next summer expansion for EVO Online?
A whole bunch of stuff. We're doing the tags for sec feature. We're doing the new sensor overlay, the scan sweep that goes around when you enter a new system. We're doing the resource changes, and we're also doing a number of the Starbase improvements.
All right, let's start at tags for sec status. Why are you taking away my cycle ratting?
Because it was a mechanic that was never intuitive and always gave a higher return for sec status than what was designed. It was an unintended mechanic, which isn't necessarily bad, but it also meant that something that we never guarantee we're going to keep in the game.
So what impacts will the fast talk skill have on the system, or is that being removed entirely? As somebody who hasn't trained to 5 because I hate sec ratting.
You'll still be able to sec rat. What we've done is we've changed it so as of right now on TQ you can move from system to system, and there's an individual 15-minute timer per system. You kill a rat, you move to the next system, you kill a rat. It takes the highest value rat you killed in each system every 15 minutes and adds that all to your sec status. We're changing that after Odyssey to be have one timer that follows you from system to system, but we're also decreasing it from 15 minutes to 5 minutes. So if you're ratting in only a few systems, you'll actually rat faster. You'll get sec faster than you do right now, but if you are doing the currently optimal run through a whole big list of systems, then you'll be going a little bit slower.
So really, it's a boon to those who are running the anomalies. You might as well stay in your anomaly and run that particular anomaly or site or what have you, and stay in system, or do your normal belt ratting within the system if you're doing the chain belt ratting or whatnot.
Yep, we're expecting that for the vast majority of people, it's going to end up being actually a boost to the speed that they get their sec back. But for people that were doing it the completely optimal way, it's going to be a bit slower. Just a second, I've got to go move these guys into the system right now.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad that we're doing the tag for sec thing, because it's somebody that's always just shot whatever is in front of me. I think I'm like -7.2 or something, but it'll be nice to be able to buy it all back fairly quickly if I wanted to. Now, is there any thoughts about maybe doing something similar for faction standing? I spent a lot of time in the Kaldari militia, and so I obviously have horrible standings toward Galente. Is there any thoughts of in the future maybe doing a similar tag for sec that way?
It's very possible. This feature, we wanted to just keep it laser focused on your security status and getting that into a better place where there's a better market around it. But yeah, this is the kind of mechanic we could easily expand to other things in the future.
Well, that's great to hear. And really, the tags for sex status is a great thing. I've been waiting for it for a year. They announced it last Fan Fest, and I'm very excited to see it. I did get a chance to go on the Sissy server, Singularity, which is the test server, and pal around in some of the low sex systems. And there seems to be a pretty good population rate. The more belts there are, it seems the more they appear. And I did a little bit of ratting, just jumping belt to belt. And I think I know Mina, who will be on later, CSM8 elect, said that out of 11 belts, he found 6 or 7 tags, and the rats drop the tags 100% of the time. So it is a really good system, and it's exciting to see that implemented. Plus, like the dev blog said, hopefully it will be a boost to low sec, since these rats will only be found in low sec.
Yep, and we're really looking forward to seeing more people ratting in belts and low sec, because that's going to generate a lot of conflict.
Exactly. It's exciting. Now that I've gotten my cry out, my tears out, what else is Team 50 working on for Odyssey?
Just a moment, doing another teleporting.
Yeah, so we're going to have our second team moving into local, so we're just probably a couple minutes off of the match starting here, everybody. So get your drinks filled.
Yes, and a big shout out to our commentary team. We do have our EU team in the box. That is Elendar and Selderain. So we are excited to have them in the commentary box for this first match. This is semifinal 1 for Syndicate Competitive League 3 Warlords of the Deep versus the Reputation Cartel. And of course, we are doing our trivia for our viewers. So we'll go ahead and do our first trivia question of the day. The prize for this trivia question will be a Daredevil. And the trivia is sponsored by SomerBlink. So a great big shout out to our sponsor, SomerBlink, who is sponsoring all of our great prizes. And remember, when we ask the trivia question, you are going to send 0.01 ISK to Miss Luke Gods, who is in the SCL Space Chat channel. And she's going to give you a big wave in that channel. And the first trivia question of the day is, in what region is the Eve Gate located? So the first trivia question of the day is, in what region is the Eve Gate located? And you are going to send 0.01 ISK to Miss Luke Gods, who is in the SEL Space Chat channel. And that prize is a Daredevil sponsored by SomerBlink. All right, and it looks like our teams are getting moved in, so we will be starting the first match in just a few moments.
Yeah, I think they're going to be warping to the beacon really soon, so should have our next match within a minute or so. Guys, go ahead and get over to SomerBlink, drop some cash over there, try to win some prizes, and yeah, look forward to an exciting day at PvP.
I just have to say, wow. I'm looking on scan right now as the ships are coming in. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Wow.
Yes, both teams have just warped in on the field, so we are going to head and go for a quick commercial break and get right to the exciting PvP action for semifinals 1, Warlords of the Deep versus the Reputation Cartel, the Syndicate Competitive League 3. We are excited to have you here, and let's get right to the match.
Sound muted.
must be something terribly wrong with me. Sometimes I feel like I haven't learned anything.